Practically every day of the program, we've been looking at the latest legal wranglings in challenges against Illinois' gun laws, including the gun and magazine ban that's right now being challenged in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. It's been months now since the hearing, and we still have no idea as to when the ruling is going to be released by the appeals panel. But obviously, regardless of how that goes, it's expected that's going to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So that's the consolidated case that has been put into the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, and still no movement. The latest docket entry on that was back in August 14th, so about 2 weeks ago. So you can see the docket entry, not much movement there. But it's not the only thing going on. Of course, you've got that being consolidated cases with several others from the Southern District and the Northern District. Well, Attorney Thomas Maag, he is the person who filed the first challenge to Illinois' gun and magazine ban in state level court. And that was in Crawford County. But then it was transferred to federal court, and it was lumped in with several other cases brought by other groups in the Southern District. All of that going on while you had cases in the Northern District of Illinois. You've got three federal districts, Northern, Central, and Southern Illinois. So cases in the Southern District got a preliminary injunction, blocking the law from being implemented for 6 days. That was overturned after some hearings and opinions in the Northern District were appealed and went to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, where they just go ahead and the appeals court looks over all of Illinois' districts and several other districts from other states. But the appeals courts then consolidated all those cases together, and they had the hearing, but yet we still don't have any idea as to when the actual ruling is going to come out of the Seventh Circuit. So that's one case that we'll hear about from Attorney Thomas Maag. He also has several other cases challenging various aspects of state law, including a challenge of the FOID card, and several cases, one in federal court and others in state court, challenging Illinois' venue limiting law. So let's hear from Attorney Thomas Maag in the conversation I had with him yesterday about, the status of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals case.
Of course, the Seventh Circuit still has the Second Amendment issue vis-a-vis the temporary restraining order. The case that I originally filed, the Langley case, also included claims of unconstitutional vagueness, as well as Fifth Amendment claims, because it requires persons to register firearms and potentially incriminate themselves. A motion for a summary judgment and a permanent injunction have been filed with the court in front of Judge McGlynn, which is set for argument in the coming weeks. It has been briefed. The state wanted to do some depositions on that, and those are in the process of being done. I told the state that I wanted to depose their expert, and it sounds like they're probably going to be withdrawing their expert, who, according to his sworn affidavit, handgun magazines and rifle magazines are completely or largely not interchangeable, which of course is nonsense for anybody that knows anything about firearms. Fifth Amendment challenge will probably follow very shortly on that, depending on what the vagueness ruling is out of Judge McGlynn. But we're very confident that the court, pursuant to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals case from several years ago, the City of Columbus case, Springfield Armory versus City of Columbus specifically, will find that the firearm and magazine ban is, if not completely, is at least largely unconstitutionally vague.
So again, Magg saying that he's pursuing the vagueness argument, and if that doesn't move, then he's going to pursue that Fifth Amendment argument. And he elaborates a bit on the legal rationale behind the Fifth Amendment, the case law that's already on the books concerning Fifth Amendment arguments.
Haynes versus United States, 1968 U.S. Supreme Court, which was a trio of Fifth Amendment decisions by the Supreme Court in 1968. That one concerned the National Firearms Act to register them with what was then the IRS. Today we call it the ATF. The Supreme Court ruled that that particular statute was unconstitutional because the registration data was available to other law enforcement agencies, like this registration data would be, and that there is no protections for the registrant having the information used against them. And so the Supreme Court declared that unconstitutional under the Fifth Amendment. This particular Illinois registration requirement suffers from the exact same defects identified in Haney's 50-something years ago. And you'd think that our legislature would have researched that issue, but apparently they didn't. And following the vagueness argument, depending on the outcome on that, is our intention to proceed with the Fifth Amendment portion of the challenge in our case. But one step at a time. We don't want to overwhelm the court, and we don't want to intermingle issues and get things confused.
So again, Thomas Maag laying out some of the strategy that he has to chip away at the state's gun and magazine ban, but we've got a January 1st deadline to file your registration of what kinds of semi-automatic weapons you owned before the law was enacted January 10th of this year. If you don't file that registration and are found to have not filed the registration properly, you could face criminal charges. So we'll see what happens with all of that. Coming back, though, we'll hear from Magg talking about some other cases he has. All right, so stay tuned. Back at it, hearing from attorney Thomas Maag about the cases he has challenging Illinois' gun and magazine ban, but also Illinois' FOID card. We have the case Myers v. Kelly that was filed in the state court challenging the FOID card, but also challenging the venue limiting bill that the governor signed. He talks about that case, and in particular, it being a FOID card challenge.